Welcome back to the developer's log for For Love of the Void. This is the second installment. At its heart, the game is a solo RPG where the AI tells the story but does not get to decide what actually happens in it. The rules do. Usual disclosure first. This narration is generated by the game's own text-to-speech service. The voice and the art are both machine-made and neither is off the shelf. I built them with care for this. Last vlog I promised to cover my battles with the resource system. I mentioned that trying to make something or get your hands on what a scene called for ran into a wall of closed doors, and I called it an exercise in nope. Having now gone through it properly, a wall of doors was too kind. It was a labyrinth with no solution, invisible walls scattered through it, and doors that turned out to be painted on. Picture an item already in your possession. It is on your character sheet. You bought it, or you were given it, or you started the game with it. It is in your hand. You try to use it, and the game says no. Not a guard stopping you, not a scene where someone objects, just a flat, out-of-character refusal. A required grant or state condition is missing, and the system can't be bothered to tell you which one. Here is what was actually happening. Several of the items in this game asked for an authorization, a license, a permit, a piece of standing, and nothing in the entire game could give it to you. Not character creation, not a mission, not a favor from anyone. I checked every definition in the registry, and the number of things that could grant those permits was 0. The item was asking for a signature from an office that does not exist. It was not so much that it was hard to find because it was hidden. It was hard to find because there was nothing to find. My first replacement design, in theory, had a safety net for this. A report that checked every item was reachable. It said 0 unreachable every time. It was checking that the doors were labelled, and they were, not that anyone could walk through them. So what replaces a wall? Not another wall. Carrying something you are not licensed for should not stop the game. It should be, at least potentially, noticed. Your surveillance rises, faster each time you push it, and when someone finally does object, you get 3 answers: surrender it, run, or fight. The rule I want is not, you cannot use that. It's, you can use that, and someone may see you. That is written now. Whether it survives contact with a real session is a different question, and I would not bet on it yet. Permissions moved too. Item requirements are now tied to the specific method by which they are acquired. Storehouses require proper clearance, and in most cases a social test. Automated facilities don't care about your social skills, and it's relatively easy in terms of character technical skills to print items in one, but it's devilishly hard to hack their clearance requirements. Cornucopia machines, which are portable item printers, can be hacked fairly easily, but they require raw materials and a blueprint. Last time I mentioned the design goal of having item acquisition involve negotiating with a cast of quirky characters. Well, that is a thing now, with a caveat. To build things you are not necessarily authorized to have, there is a crafting system, and to get parts for that system, you deal with people. They have personality, quirks, a species-appropriate name drawn from real lists rather than fantasy Mad Libs, and, most importantly, an agenda of their own. They are not vending machines, they want something. Which brings me to yesterday, and the caveat. In-game, I contacted a grey arbiter named Selenay Chris and asked for help setting up a tool corner. She said yes, with conditions. There was a rumour spreading through a settlement, an ostensibly false one, about transmigration failing, and it was emptying homes. Debunk it, and she would send a workshop contribution. That is a real agenda, drawn from a seeded list, and I want to be clear that this part worked beautifully. What followed was hours of play. I went to the settlement. I listened before I asked questions. I found a woman who told me people already felt like ghosts. I used the magic system to read a temporal impression at the site of a disappearance and found something much worse than a rumour waiting there. The story was coherent, it was on theme, and it was genuinely good. At the end, a spirit courier arrived and put the component in my hands. The game told me, and I quote, "The component is real, solid, warm." It was not. My character sheet showed progress toward the tool corner at 0 out of 3. I had to stop, break character, and tell my own game that it had just handed me vaporware. It apologized, in character, and proceeded to confidently hand me vaporware again. Preliminary AI analysis, with full access to all the logs, assumed the engine knew nothing about the deal. A deep investigation revealed everything about it. From the very first exchange, there was a contract sitting in the session, fully drafted. The right provider, the right reward. It sat there for hours. What it never got was my signature. The engine had it filed as still under negotiation, because I accepted the way a person accepts, in a sentence, out loud, and nothing in that sentence, saying I agreed, moved it from talking to actually agreed. So the storyteller was paying out on a contract the bookkeeper had already written but never countersigned. Later, on a panel that isn't visible while negotiating in character, I came across the button that deterministically accepts the task. The negotiation closed, accepted. Same contract, unchanged, one step, except now it counted. Here is where it gets interesting, and I only found this while checking the records for this video. The step did get completed. Critical success, a real component landed, in state this time, on a workshop project now sitting at 1 of 3. I will also admit that a session before that one went worse, and that one was my fault directly. I was editing the code underneath a running game, trying to fix things while playing, and I bricked an entire campaign, wedged it in a broken state. There is a lesson there about not operating on the patient while they are talking. So, workshops are where my primary focus has been, and workshops are where the kinks still are. But I've been cooking in several areas that I'm looking forward to sharing in detail. The player character wizard, expanded magic and psionics all landed remarkably smoothly. The crafting system, as just discussed, and browser compatibility, less so. The battle continues.